I've been in a total state of confusion.
Well, you'll
How
miss the
can
rest
that
of
be?
us
You're
then.
in Las Vegas.
I know. I must have got 15 calls this morning saying, you don't know me, but I'm a friend of so-and-so and so-and-so's who said, if I call you, you get me some tickets.
Oh,
I said,
yeah.
wait a minute. This is not a freebie.
Yeah.
You must have the wrong number.
Yeah.
You know?
So that'd be sad.
Weird, strange, but you know. And then you get these people that said, remember I met you when you was here about
Yeah.
5 years ago? And
Remember I met
when
you
were
at the
4?
Front Row Theater in Cleveland,
you know,
Ohio.
there you go, yeah. Sidewalk cafe.
Of course you remember.
Right. Said we didn't get to talk much, but you know.
Yeah.
So.
Standing in line for bagels one day.
Yeah.
I
Believe it.
remember it well.
Let me tell you something. A guy called me, I swear to God. I had my son, he was about maybe 5 or 6 with me. I was in Denver, Colorado, performed in this big arena. So I took my son out to get him a Coke, right? So we standing there in the line. This guy walks up and said, you Lou Rawls? I said, yeah. He said, oh yeah? I said, well, we come to see your show. I said, cool, man. He said, who is that? I said, that's my son. And do you know this man came to me about at least 5 or 6 years later and said, you remember me? We were in line getting the Coke at the
Oh, no.
I said, what?
As if you only met
Right.
him. That's something
Yeah,
you ever
I
met
mean,
in your
you know,
career.
This was like 2,500 people that I met on the way to the Coke line,
Yeah.
right?
Well, at
But,
least
you
it
know,
wasn't in the men's room.
That happens.
Oh, yeah. Say,
You
aren't
remember
you?
we were standing next to each other.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. How do you know though? We wouldn't be looking at each other, right? You take that quick glance, but then
You don't make prolonged eye contact there.
Hey.
He was the guy looking.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, buddy. I got a list for you, John. But that's okay. Okay.
Mr. Rawls, my name's Spike Measer.
Spike, how you doing, buddy?
How are you? Robert Jones on the camera.
Rob, how you doing?
Yeah.
You have to
Tighten
hold
it up, I'm gonna lose it.
How you
Nice
doing?
to meet you.
Good.
That's Jack.
Jack, how are
Jackson
you?
Poland?
That's Diane.
Hello, Diane. How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can
So,
we, Mr. Rawls.
I can move over.
Oh, okay.
I can move
tighten
over.
up.
Just, you wanna get him off the edge of the couch, too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he said he was confused. Maybe he's on the edge too a little bit today.
Yeah.
we're ready.
All right.
Hold on, let me just, this here.
All right. You all right with that light?
Sure.
Okay.
You kidding?
Makes the gold shine pretty good.
That's not even my light. That.
Yeah, I guess it's not compared to
No.
what you're used to.
But you know those lights are wonderful. We were down in Florida a couple of weeks ago. It was 38 degrees. We were there for the Strawberry Festival. And it was outdoors, of course. And it was 38 degrees. I said, wait a minute. This can't be Florida. Because I walked out on my balcony in the hotel that morning. So I said, there ain't going to be nobody around the pool. Looked down, the people laying out there with fur coats on. I said, I guess they figure they're going to get something for the money they're spending. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Ready to roll, Jonesy?
Yes, sir.
All right. Spike Measer, joined by our very special guest, Mr. Lou Rawls. Lou, thanks a lot for taking some time out to be with us today.
It's a pleasure for me. It's always a pleasure to come back to the city of excitement. You know, that's a good title. They say everything else, but it is exciting.
You're here at the Orleans, very nice, quaint, intimate venue,
Mm-hmm.
and I know you really interact well with the audiences.
Yeah.
What is it about Vegas, and particularly here at the Orleans, that is special for you?
Well, the Orleans, they have a showroom that is very conducive to my type of performance. And the phone's ringing. Hate to do that, but
That's
I
all right.
hate-
We don't want the interruption of the phone. Maybe we'll just take it off.
No, we're in the middle of an interview. Okay? Hang on a second.
Heavy earrings, Gladys. We'll start over.
Okay.
Please hold the calls here and we'll bring them for a few minutes. We've got an interview going on. Oh, that's right.
You remember the Front Row over in Cleveland?
Oh, yeah.
They tore that down.
I know.
It was a shame. That was a great theater.
The front row in Cleveland had the Mill Run in Chicago, Circle Star in San Francisco. You know, those great theaters.
Yeah.
But of course, you know, the thing of it was, these promoters started booking these mega concerts, and they couldn't hold the people.
Yeah.
You know, so the places just went into decay.
Well,
It was a
every time
drag.
I was at the front row while you were there,
Mm.
standing room only.
It was fun. Cleveland was good. They cleaned it up though now.
No, all down in the flats by
Yeah,
the
they-
ballparks,
Yeah, they cleaned Cleveland. That's a mistake.
Should have left it dirty.
Right. Well, you know, it had that atmosphere, you know. And they cleaned it up. They cleaned it up too good. But that's because they put the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you know. Anyway.
Go ahead.
Shall we roll again?
Yes.
All right. Spike Measer here, having fun with Mr. Lou Rawls in
Yeah.
town at the Orleans to perform. This is a nice venue for you, isn't
I
it?
love this venue. Well, you see, it's a venue that has the intimacy that my type of performances, you know, call for, I think. I mean, sure, I do the big venues, you know, the big arenas and stadiums and stuff like that, but my thoughts about those places is that's not really entertainment because, first of all, the people are out there somewhere, you know, and most of the time they're looking at a screen. They're not seeing you. They're looking at a screen. They might as well go to the movies or look at it on television, you know. And you can't really get the rapport with the people. Here you can, because the room is just the right size. There's not a bad seat in the house, and you can make eye contact with just about everybody in the room, and that makes a difference. I think Frank Sinatra said it once. He said that he, Tony Bennett, Joe Williams, and myself, we're saloon singers. You know, I mean, sure we do the big concerts, but in reality, we are more of the kind of intimate, you know, try to get across to the people and do those kind of songs, you know, that if you do them in a stadium, you might as well be out there playing volleyball or something, you know. This is a great room. It's a great hotel. I love the hotel, you know why? Because it ain't one of them big, humongous joints where it takes you a half hour to get from the elevator to your room, you know, without a golf cart.
So can we expect to see Lou Rawls at the Orleans on a regular basis?
If life lasts and death pass, and Mr. Garn said yes.
Lou, it seems that no matter where you perform, you are able to develop that rapport with your audience. Each member of the audience comes away from your concert saying, you know, he was singing right to me. Has that always been the case for you?
Yes, I've tried to do that because you see my background being a gospel singer, that was part of your whole performance, was trying to make it, you know, like I'm talking to you, you know, I'm talking to each person as an individual to get your story and get your message across. And then you translate that into what we're doing now. Now when I sing songs like Love's a Hurting Thing, or You'll Never Find Another Love Like Mine, or Lady Love, or things like that, you definitely want to give it the feeling that you're singing it to the individual, you know. Like sometimes when I'm singing Lady Love, I tell the guys, I say, if you got your, you know, your spouse or your girlfriend or your date with you, now's the time to do the tighten up, you know. In other words, you know, I said, baby, listen to the words of this song, you know, what I'm talking about, 'cause this is what I feel about, you know that thing.
So then maybe a part of the population explosion is due to the Lou Rawls singing?
Oh, I wish you hadn't said that. Because believe it or not, I've actually had women come up to me and say, you know what? I said, what? I said, you know I made my first couple of babies listening to your music? I said, oh, that's cool. I wasn't there. So, you know.
You mentioned the gospel. Tell me about the, and I want to make sure I get the name right. Is it the Teenage Kings of Rhythm?
Harmony.
Or Harmony, excuse me.
Yeah, that's what it was. That was when Sam Cooke and I and Purvis Staples of the Staple family, we were all going to school together. So we formed, because see, we used to go to this theater in Chicago called the Regal, where they used to have live stage shows. And we would see, you know, the groups back in those days, like the Ink Spots and the Ravens and Five Satins and the Blue Notes and the Drifters, you know, them guys, Moon Glows. And then we would see the show, and then we would go outside and stand on the corner if it was warm and try to doo-wop like they were doing, you know. And so we formed, we were all singing in the junior choir in church. So there was a natural transition for us to, you know, sing gospel music. And it was great, let me tell you. It was the best training ground you could ever get. And of course, as you know, Sam Cooke, before his demise, he was blazing. And of course, the Staple family with Mavis, they're still going strong. And a couple of the other guys who formed a group called the Flamingos, and the Spaniels and the Shylights. Well, see, we all grew up in the same neighborhood together. So it was a I guess it was just a natural thing for us, and it was good for us because it, gave us what we call musical ears. We could hear, you know, and well, I mean, gospel. Matter of fact, I just did a special in Nashville last week called "The History of Gospel Quartets." About the gospel quartets came about, starting out, and they went back as far as groups like the Golden Gate Quartet, who were a gospel group who changed over and started singing, secular music. Went to Europe and became huge stars, and that was my training ground, and I still do it a little bit too, but it was fun.
You mentioned Sam Cooke.
Mhm.
I believe in my research, I found some information telling me about an accident that took place that maybe changed your attitude about life a little bit. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, it did. We were on the road. Well, see, at that time, Sam had left the group and was on his own. So
Mhm.
I had joined a group called the Pilgrim Travelers from Los Angeles. And we were traveling with Sam. He had a show out. And the basis of the show was uh, from gospel. At that point, they called him to rhythm and blues because he was a pop singer. But they, at that time, back in the late 50s, early 60s, all African Americans were rhythm and blues singers. They weren't not. The only man was accepted as a pop singer was Nat King Cole. You know, everybody else. Now, I mean, and I argue with people. Well, not argue with them, but I just tell them, you don't know what you're talking about. You Send Me. There's no way you can say that was a rhythm and blues song, right?
True.
But they did at that particular time. But we were on the road, so he was doing like he would open the show. We would open the show singing some like semi-gospel thing. As we call it, inspirational songs.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sam would come out, and we would back him up. And because I did a lot of the background vocals on all his records, because we had grown up singing together, so we knew each other vocally. And that was the thing. And then we were on the road traveling. We were going from St. Louis to Greenville, Mississippi. I don't know why we went through Arkansas, but we did. And it was late at night. Fortunately, I was asleep because the doctor said if I hadn't been asleep, I'd have been dead because I'd have tensed up,
Sure.
And I was in the back seat, and we were in a convertible, 58 convertible Cadillac, brand new, man. And Eddie was driving, and it was raining. So I went to sleep, and myself and Cliff White, the guitar player, was in the back seat. Sam and Eddie was in the front. And from what they tell me, we were driving, and it was raining, and we came over this hill, and it was a big 18. At that time, they didn't have what they call them, super highways, freeways. They were like 2-lane highways. And this truck was sitting there in the middle of the road, and we came over the hill. And I don't know how fast he was driving. Must have been fast because we run up under the back end of this truck, and it just like sheared the top off the convertible. And the bar in the top of the convertible hit me across here, opened up my head, and my brain was kind of protruding. And they pronounced me dead there at the site. But fortunately, they took me to the Veterans Hospital because I had just got out of the Army. See? Now, this is weird, right?
82nd Airborne.
I've been
right?
jumping out of airplanes for 3 years, man. Didn't get a scratch, right? Come out, get on the road in the car, and they pronounced me dead. I said, whoa. But anyway, after I, recuperated from that, because I stayed in a coma 5.5 days, and then it took me about a year, a little bit more, to really recover. And it made me realize at that point, had I died at that point, I'd have just been another soul that took up some space and time on earth and hadn't accomplished nothing and hadn't done nothing, So it made me give a different look at my lifestyle. Because at that time, come on, hey, I'm a young dude, I'm out there on the road, and, everywhere we're going, we got the big, full crowds, and everybody's just yelling and screaming, and after the show, the girls and the parties, and oh, man, But that was it. So after I finally got my act back together, got myself together, I realized that it would have been just a waste because there's so many other people that had come down that same road, and they'd gone and nobody even remembers. And they hadn't done anything that could make a statement that they were even here,
So now you're basically a household name. Certainly the voice as recognized as any voice ever heard.
Yeah, they said that.
When you're growing up in Chicago, do you ever imagine it to be like it is now?
No, of course not. What was I? I was a kid running the streets. Come on, man, in the inner city like that. What do you know? You have visions when you go to see other people, but you never even think that you're gonna obtain that kind of, that height. You ain't gonna. I mean, like I said, we go to Regal. We saw Joe Williams with the Count Basie band, man. That was cool, man. Billy Eckstein, he was with Duke Ellington, Sarah Vaughan, man, Ella Fitzgerald. We saw all those people. We never even dreamed. I mean, the best we could do was stand outside the stage door when they come out, and try to get something going, get an autograph or anything, just to be there, just to see him, because Billy Eckstein, he was Mr. Cool, with the roll collar shirt, man, Mr. B, he was cool, and everybody was trying to get a roll collar shirt. We couldn't afford them, but we tried. But anyway, and that was, it was something to be inspired by and have aspirations, but you never, come on, you growing up in the inner city, and the only people that know that you do anything are the people in church. Well, don't even go to church talking about you've been to the Regal to see a stage show. You did what? So, that was the thing. You never even looked to aspire to have your name up on the marquee like that. But as we just, continued and kept doing our thing around the city, then we got to the point where we would go on weekends. We would go like to St. Louis or to Cleveland or Detroit, because we could drive there and get back, to go back to school. And matter of fact, we met Aretha. Aretha Franklin was playing piano in her daddy's church, Reverend Franklin. She wasn't even singing then. She was playing piano. That was all. And then, of course, when Sam made the transition, everybody said, "Wow, what's going to happen to the people going to accept him?" Because that was taboo in the church.
Sure.
But they did,
Yes, they did.
And the next thing you knew, Aretha was gone, Patti LaBelle was gone, Gladys Knight was gone, because they all were gospel people. The only one that didn't make the transition was Shirley Caesar. She's a minister, got her own church and stuff. But she was all part of that group with the Caravan Singers, And it was a thing like, because when the Golden Gate Quartet stopped singing gospel and started singing what they call secular music, which was rock and roll, rhythm and blues, jazz, whatever. That's why they went to Europe, because the church turned on them here, Said, "Oh, they're serving the devil now, honey. We ain't gonna go see them no more," So they went to Europe and became superstars, But now, and even to this day, it's sad to say, still, our music is more accepted in foreign countries than it is here. I guess it's because we get bombarded with it 24 hours a day. They don't. See, in Europe, excuse me, they got BBC One, BBC Two, certain hours of the day. They said, today between the hours of 2:45 and 6:15, you'll hear American popular music, And then we'll have the home and garden show, or how to cook just BBC anyway. But they know more about the music than we do, really. You can sit down with a kid in Europe and they can talk about Dixieland jazz. You sit down with a kid in that said Dixieland, and say, "What is that?" It's sad, but it's true. But our music, on a worldwide basis, is more acceptable than it is here. And again, I say it's because here we're bombarded with it all the time. We get a constant diet of it. And some of it, I got to tell you, boy, I wouldn't go across the street to listen to it, And I'm like, people say, "Well, you started rapping back in the city." I said, "That's right." I said, "But we didn't do the negative thing. And we did have music with it." See, they say rap music now. I'm still waiting on the music. I ain't heard that yet. All I've heard is kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. And you be driving down the street and a car pull up next to you and it sounds like a sound system shaking. And I'm saying, the people must be deaf, man. But that's what they're doing. So anyway, it's fun. I'm having a good time. I'm trying to impart the feelings that I have to the audience. And it's good. I'm having fun. God, they keep telling me it's supposed to be fun.
You mentioned driving to St. Louis. Ironically, you end up an association that still continues today with Budweiser
Yeah,
in
that's
St.
right.
Louis. How did that relationship come about?
Well, you know, it was a funny thing. August the 3rd, who now is the CEO and chairman, he was just taking over from his dad, Gussie Bush, because Gussie was retiring. And they wanted to, I guess they wanted to really get into the black African American market. So they sent out a request, you know, for people to cut some test spots for radio, because they wanted to do a real, you know, like black radio campaign. And so fortunately at the time, this guy I was with, who was what do you call it, commercial agent, called me and said, "Hey Lou, you want to come in and read for a Budweiser radio spot?" I said, "Sure, man." So I did, and in the meantime, I was going to Philadelphia to record my first album with Philadelphia International, which was "You'll Never Find Another Love Like Mine." And so while I was there in the studio recording, I get this call, and they say, "St. Louis likes what you did, so they want you to cut some more stuff and send it in." And I did while I was in the studio and finished the album. So the album came out about, I guess about 6, 8 weeks later, and the album came out at the same time. And You'll Never Find took off like a bat out of hell. Excuse me. And so August said, "Wow." So what they started doing, they started buying time on all the stations. And the way they did it, they set it up so that every time they would play a Budweiser commercial, they played Lou Rawls' record and the commercial, you know. And it just started growing like that. And then I met with him, and he had me traveling around with him, introducing me to all of his distributors and things around the country, because their sales increased 44% in the African American community. So he said, I'm gonna put you on television and see what happens." So I did the TV commercial, and it really went through the roof then. And you know, things started happening. So he said, "You know, I know you do a lot of community work, so if there's something we can get behind you on, let me know." And I had just did the Jerry Lewis telethon here. And I was thinking, I said, "You know, August," I said, "everybody does telethons to raise money for research." I said, "But where do the researchers come from?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, they're not all born geniuses, you know. I mean, some of these guys come off the corner like I did, you know, and they just, you know, happen to be fortunate enough to get the right kind of direction and, you know, and education to help them out." So I said, "Why don't we do a telethon to raise money for education?" He said, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "Well, I think the United Negro College Fund would be a good source." So he said, "Well, you know, being an alcoholic beverage, there are a lot of limits that are on us, you know." He said, "But I'll have my legal department check it out and see if just how much we can do." So I was in Vancouver working, and he called me and said, "Well, the guy said we can do it." So he flew out and met me in L.A. We sit down and mapped out a strategy to start doing it. And here we are now, 18 years later, and over $200 million, and 54,000 students got education. So it's been fun. And Bud, you know, I had to quit drinking too much of it because my clothes wouldn't fit. My old lady said, "You tell August Butcher stop sending that beer here, because, you know, you can't just keep going to the tailor shop." I said, so, you know,
With that United Negro College Fund, later on in the year here in Las Vegas, you have a golf tournament coming up, do you not?
yes, we're planning. That's what we're putting it together now with Claudine. She's helping us out. She's working on it too. Claudine is doing it. She's so good. Anyway, we're going to do that. Yeah. See, I've had it in Los Angeles. I have it in Jacksonville, Florida. I have it in Columbus, Ohio, and we're setting up one in Atlanta, Georgia, because we got 5 schools in Atlanta. But I said, I want to do something in Las Vegas, because about a few years ago, I met some people from Texas, and I said, you know, this town, Las Vegas, this town, and you know, I hope people don't misunderstand this, but this town turns black every time you have a fight. As soon as the fight is over, whew, they're gone. And why? Because there ain't nothing, you know, First of all, they nothing to keep me here because they done lost all their money while they was here, you know. But I said that if there should be some kind of an attraction here that would keep them here for a while. So I went and met with the city council, with Ashley Hall, who was the city manager at the time, and they showed me properties around the city and all. But then it got a little too involved, with politics. So the people with the money said, "Hey, Lou, man, it's great, but we don't get involved in the red tape and the political games that they play." So they left. So I went on. I bought some property on the west side anyway. I'm not building a hotel or nothing like that, but I did that, and so I figured. I said, wait a minute. As fast as this city is growing, it's the fastest growing city on the planet. Forget about America, I said, that means that there's a lot of people, man, going to be there. And I said, just how much, how many recreational things that are going on there, and everybody here plays golf.
Yes.
Everybody plays golf. So I said, this would be a good place to have a golf tournament, and aside from the town being the attraction that it is anyway, and I've already got a lot of the pro guys like Charlie Sifford and Calvin Pete and guys like that who want to be a part of it, and we're reaching out for a lot of celebrities as well. So I start talking here with Mr. Gunn and them, and they said, yeah, Lou, we ought to work with you on that, So at this point in time, to be honest and tell the truth, I don't know how far they've gone with it because I've been on the road for the rest of my life. Just came off a 14 one-nighter tour, man. Anyway, but that's what, September. See, when I come back. Because, see, I figure that a lot of people here would be more than happy to get involved. Because, as I said, it's a good thing, and it's the education. I believe in education. Because, I finished high school, right? And they said, did you go to college? I said, yes. They said, where? I said, on the corners of south side of Chicago. And, of course, being fortunate and having the opportunity and the privilege to travel as I have, I've learned a lot more than I would have learned in college, and that ain't putting college down.
No.
But they teach you, they have a restricted way, curriculum that they teach you. And a lot of stuff that I learned in high school, man, I found out wasn't near the full scope of what was going on, I mean, I went to, when I first time I went out of the country, I went overseas, and I mean, the way they tell us, the world loves Americans. They were lying, man. They don't love us. Matter of fact, they hate us because the stuff that we're sending over there for them, they never get. You know what I mean? See, all of the what they call the leaders, for the lack of the right terminology, so I don't alienate nobody, because I might have to go to their country. But, they take it. See, but the man that is sent there for, the people that are sent there for, the people that are starving and in poverty, they never get it, And, but yet, if you listen to the propaganda that we're being fed, see, then we think, oh yeah, we're doing the world good. No, we're not, man. But, that's something that you don't learn in college,
I know you've got a sound check coming up, so I'll wrap it up here, although I'm enjoying this and I could talk to you forever.
You don't want to talk to me.
Do you know that you finally arrived when they name a street after you in your hometown?
Boy, I got to tell you, that's something else too, man. Yeah, boy, that was really something. When they did that, man, I said, I used to run these streets, man. And they named it, man. And then Mayor Daley, he was cool. Richard, I call him Richard. Yeah.
Close enough, right?
Yeah, he's my buddy. Because he gave me a corner where the old Regal Theater, where we used to go to the Regal. Mm-hmm. Well, of course, the urban renewal. My definition of urban renewal? New vacant lots in your neighborhood. Because that's what they do. They said, we're going to tear these old buildings down and we're going to put something new back here for you. We're going to tell you when. But in the meantime, you got a new vacant lot. So they tore it down. And so I said, well, what y'all going to do with that corner? He said, well, and I talked to the alderman and people there in that community. And I said, well, I would like to get some people together and build a senior citizens youth center. And they said, what do you mean? I said, well, think about it this way. We take our elderly people who have the knowledge and experience, and what do we do with them? We put them off in a corner somewhere, and they die out, and all that experience and knowledge is gone. In the meantime, our kids are growing up in the inner city, don't know who they are, where they're going. Why? Because they have no knowledge of anything, of no past. So let's put them together so that they can pass that knowledge on, and the kids can learn something. At the same time, they can bring the elderly people up to speed with what's going on out in the world today. You know, so they went for it. So we building it.
And now it sits on Lou Rawls Drive.
No, Lou Rawls Drive is on the freeway. God, that's man. It's on the Dan Ryan Freeway, man. Well, it runs right alongside the Dan Ryan Freeway. But it's at 47th and King Drive. It used to be 47th and South Parkway, but they named it after Martin Luther King Jr., which was cool. But what we're doing, we're trying to develop that, because at one time, they had a special on the Promised Land, and it was about the mass migration from the South to Chicago, from the Delta, Mississippi Delta, and all down to Louisiana and all that, which brought blues and jazz from down there to Chicago. That's why they call Chicago now the home of the blues, because all the blues singers, B.B. King, Howlin' Wolf, Lightning, how you name them, they all came to Chicago. Well, Leonard Chess Checker Records, they were the original they were Motown before when Barry Gordy was a good kid, and they were putting out all of the music. So the area that they all came to was that area, 47th, 43rd, 51st, and like that, and they called it Bronzeville. So of course urban renewal moved in, but we got a lot of nice vacant lots to build on. But that's what we're doing. So it's great. I'm at a point now in my life where I feel if I can't do something positive, why do it? Why even be bothered with it?
Well, you continue to do the positive. I know you have an extremely positive effect on all your audiences, myself and my crew as well. And on behalf of all of us, thank you very much for spending some time with us.
Thank you. And do you play golf? Of course.
I will.
Everybody plays golf. People ask me, say, what's your handicap? I say, getting it off the tee.
My swing, right? Well, we'll look forward to the golf tournament. And,
all right.
Continued success to you, Lou Rawls.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to speak with you.
All right.